Hey tubers, thought I'd do an update for the end of 2015, just before Christmas here. Thought I'd bring you up to date on everything that's going on around the layout. First of all, I'll start with a few trains, because every good video starts with some trains running. Okay, this is a module that I'm just finishing up now. I built it on 1-inch foam insulation board, and it's for a lumber mill. I don't know if you can tell, but this is where the wood chip loader is going to go. And I built the module offline because you'll see it's very inaccessible where this module is going to go. Also, this is where the future structure is going to go, where this black foam core is, and I've made it so that the foam core just drops right into that location there. And the wires are going to be popped through the shelf once it's put in place, and the switches also are just they're picos, and they're just going to be operated manually with a knob. So this is where that module is going to go, and you can see if I get a wider shot here, it's over top of my lower peninsula that sticks out, so it's very inaccessible up at the back corner of this shelf. So I'm going to drop the module in, and then we'll resume filming. And now this is the completed module in place. You can see ready for the structure to be put in. That black area will be where the lumber mill goes. I've temporarily put a little loading piece there to show where the wood chip loader will go. And what I've done this just a couple months ago was completed the backdrop photos. Those are photos that I took up north and then just photoshopped them together and printed them out at a local print shop. Now, one tip I want to recommend is if you do a photo backdrop like this, I use a hole punch, 1/4 inch hole punch, which you can get at most Staples stores or craft booking stores, and just use that hole punch to cut out the edge, and it makes a nice serrated edge, so it doesn't look like you've cut it with scissors. And then I've plugged my hole. I've cut the backdrop out for the hole where the train passes through into the staging area, and just covered it up with some trees there. So, and the shelf continues on. This is a bridge that I'm putting in here. You can see I still have to color the stream and so forth and finish a backdrop for this area right here. And we go around. This is going to be a small town area. I've extended this shelf out. It used to be 18 inches wide, now it's a 28 inch wide. I built it out an extra 10 inches in this area. Put a little cup holder here on the front. And I have my track configuration laid out. That's where some of the switches are going to go. Turn out it's a little engine facility there. Now that backdrop was a Scenic King backdrop, and I cut out all the buildings of that and just pasted it on the backdrop. And some radical flats here, which I understand are now out of business. More radical flats, and then some 3D background buildings here in the corner. And this will be my little town. Just has some structures placed there temporarily. And there's going to be 2 sidings going in this area here. I've already laid the road bed. I used some foam, gray foam in this case, for the road bed over top of the pink insulation. And more backdrops. That's a Scenic King backdrop there. And in this area, oops, I still have this covered up for when I was doing the scenery. It's more photo backdrops. This backdrop is actually the same as the backdrop behind the lumber mill over there. I just flipped it 180 degrees so it looks a little different. And the track main line continues on. And we catch up with Maple Leaf Trading Company. It's a structure I completed in the summer, and it won first place in YouTube Model Builders structure building contest. Another photo backdrop there I used for the road. That one I did myself. Some Scenic King backdrops, some engines that I'm working on converting to CN. These are 3 engines I'm weathering, a couple GP38s and a GP40. This 4 switcher is an Atlas unit that I converted from the old CN Green to the CN Noodle scheme. Still just finishing that up. There's some Atlas units. This was it is a Broadway Limited engine that my father got for me, and it came in CN Modern scheme, and I repainted it to the XUP scheme. Back in 1995, CN bought these from UP, and they were painted like this temporarily until CN could paint them with their modern paint scheme. There's an Intermountain. I have I believe that's an Athearn at the back, or this SD40. Bowser C630. Another Bowser. These are my SD50s. One thing I forgot to mention about the engines was that the reason they're all lined up here is that I was testing them out after my buddy John Hill installed Keep Alive units in I guess about 6 or 7 of my engines, so that they run way smoother now that they have the Keep Alives in there, and I don't have to worry about a little bit of dirt on the track. The sound isn't interrupted, and they travel at slow speed much better. I'm a big fan of the Keep Alives. I use TCS KA1s and KA2s. This unit, you know, when I turn the DCC off, it'll keep going for about 10 seconds. You'll keep hearing the sound, even after the power is off. When it's not running. When it's running, it'll go for a couple seconds. But I find even the KA1s, they have enough power to keep these engines going over dead spots and frogs and so forth. And they run so much better with the Keep Alives in there. Cheap GT. That's an Athearn blue box that I just sort of weathered up. I was just trying out some different things there. That's going to be my Big Beaver Motel. Still have to do some trees and stuff on the scenery here at the front. And this is Future Industrial Park. Right now I've just put some structures in here loosely just to cover the track at the back. Sorry for the lighting, it gets a little darker over here. Now one thing I like to do is buy kits at train shows that are already built, or structures already built. I found this Magnuson kit, or structure. Somebody was selling for like 35 bucks. I bought that, and I combined that with my old Walther's car shop, and I think that's the way I'm going to lay them out. They look really good together. And they both have an entrance on the back side here, so I can have 2 entrances for tracks going on this end of the structure. And then we continue on around the corner, through the wall. There's me in the mirrors. What I've done on the bridge here, I've weathered up some girders and put that on the front of the bridge. It's kind of hard to see, but some weathering on there. And then we go through the corner, entrance to the room. I have my bridge down right now, and the bridge comes across, and I've completed this scene this summer. I built some grain silos And I took my Quonset hut from the lower level, I put it in this area, and it's almost completed, the scene. I have 2 tracks for the Ontario seed mill that I can park hoppers in. And then we pan out. This is going to be a bit of a pond, and I'm going to have a beaver hut sitting here in the corner of the pond. My Rapido GMD1. And these are some more weathering projects that I completed this summer. This MKT boxcar and another MKT boxcar over here. The lighting's not very good at this corner. There we go. So this one I did a little patchwork on. The Sioux line I did a while ago. And then that one just has some scratches on it. The roofs came out really good though. Pretty happy with those. Different rust effects on the roofs of these boxcars. And I'm in the process of ballasting this area. And it goes, we're back at the start here, where it goes into the wall, and you can see the module there, and that's back into staging. And the lower level that we saw earlier. Okay, so now I'm back in the staging area. This is the area that we just looked at coming through the wall. And the trains come around. I'm going to have a bit of a 4-track switching yard here at the front. And the trains go through this double crossover and down to the end. There's a reverse loop down to the end, and then there's 4 staging tracks at the back. And then the trains can go back out the front, southbound, back onto the layout through that loop hole in the wall there. One thing I just completed this summer is I used to have a set of shelves here, and the only way to get more real estate or a little bit more space was to put the shelves, I put them on wheels, and I didn't lose any storage space. So now when I'm operating trains, I can push the shelves out of the way and have plenty of space here. And I'm going to put a little engine facility there in the corner. And it'll come off of this double crossover here. 2 tracks will feed into the yard, and the 1 track will feed back over to the engine storage. And that's an update as to what I've been up to. There's my electrical panel, and down below I have all the EB1s and crossovers, which I mentioned in my video on how I produce the staging yard. So that's it, tubers. That's it for December 2015.